This is the Resilience Code, turning adversity into strength, one story at a time. I am your host, Arbina Kawilan, and if you ever have a story of your own, there's a link in my bio. Roots remind us where we came from. Storms remind us of what we've been through. But branches remind us that we don't grow alone. Even when I thought that it was just me and my grandma against the world, the universe kept sending us branches, people who reached for us, sometimes without me even realizing. Some branches held, some broke, and eventually I learned that I could choose which ones to lean on. My childhood was poor in money, but not completely poor in generosity. I had cousins that were more educated and a lot more well off. And they became my inspiration. They saw us struggling and they would regularly call us into their home to pick up some necessities. Bags of rice, canned goods, noodles, coffee, anything that are not perishable because we didn't have electricity then and obviously no refrigerator. I always look forward to visiting their home, not only for the food, but it also provided me some normalcy in my life. They had an actual house and not a hut, and they had electricity and running water. But their home also held a very good core memory for me. My uncle loved watching WWE, the wrestling, and that's how I knew who John Cena was and why he became one of my favorites. He introduced me to the Western world of entertainment, and it would be our bonding time. In those moments, life didn't feel so difficult. Rather, it felt normal, like an escape. When they traveled, they would always keep me in mind. They gave me gifts, and yes, sometimes their kids who were my age would get very upset about that, right in front of me, too. They were wondering why I was getting all these things that were supposed to be for them. That made me feel smaller than I already feel. But my cousins made sure that their children understood the value of generosity. And they'd also teach their children that in front of me, which makes it even more powerful, in my opinion. Their generosity isn't a branch that I planned. It's the universe that sent them. And as I get older, different branches appeared. Those weren't about survival anymore, they were more about being seen. My third grade teacher was the first person who treated me like I belonged. Until then, opportunities in school, roles in representing the class, always fell to the children who are well off and who has connections in school. But she gave me a chance. She gave me my first shot at representing my class in a poetry competition. I don't particularly remember if I won, but I felt so seen. I felt so visible for the first time. Kind of the same thing when this impromptu speech happened in high school. I just moved to this private school from a very different school, and they didn't have other choice, so they set me up to do this impromptu speech as part of a joke. Maybe for me to fail too. But instead, I stood up there, delivered a 2-minute speech on China's two-child policy, and the topic was not given to me until the moment I get to the stage, because that's what impromptu speeches are. And in my opinion, I crushed it. Not only I crushed it, the school director recognized that I crushed it. I didn't win because I guess my thoughts weren't in the right order, but at the same time, I wasn't expecting to win anyway. But not only that I was recognized by him, he gave me a special mention in front of everyone. In front of a school that is so private that we only have 250 population on average, and that's from kindergarten to senior high school. That recognition gave me both hatred and praise. I was the newbie at school, and who am I to be recognized by this prestigious person that everyone respects? But at the same time, I got the opposite of that. For those who saw me even better, because he helped shed light on me. This school is full of well-off people, plenty of politicians. Where I came from, their kids get sent there, doctors, government officials. I was one of those students who would take the public transit, so I'm literally the odd one out. Not to mention, I also get called every single month for not being able to pay the tuition on time. So I was quite popular that way, because they do announce it in stage right after the morning assembly that they need to talk to you, or you need to call your parents for them to talk to your parents. Yeah. But during these times as well, as much as I struggle with that, there were also people that not only saw me, but took me in. I met my best friend when I was in high school, and her family took me in, literally. every time a class day is finished, I don't go home directly. I would go straight to their house. And they fed me, they took me on trips, even gave me money during these trips. And even when I was in college, when I would run out of money and would not have anything to eat, I was always welcome in their apartment, which was a few minutes walk from my dorm. That was convenient, and that was so very generous of them. Their kindness will never be forgotten by me. Later, right out of college, I started my own business. And this was because combination of I couldn't get a job that paid me enough to actually support my family because my husband then did not work. And also that I do not like to work. Since I was a mom of two then, I would like more freedom when it comes to my time. And it became a trend in the Philippines where phones that are locked, that you all return to AT&T and you whatever mobile carrier you have, it became a trend in the Philippines that we would sell those. Everything that you guys return goes back to China at some point, and then these suppliers would go directly to China to shop, and then they would give that to me to basically distribute. At first, I was one of the resellers, and they recognized my ability to sell, and I became one of their distributors in the city. They would load off about $4,000 worth of cell phones. In Philippine money, that's 200,000 pesos back then. And I would have 1 week to turn that around, and for some magical reason I was able to. And their trust in me kept growing and growing. But yeah, their trust fed my family when my husband couldn't. My children was able to enjoy a life that I didn't get to enjoy when I was a kid. That was amazing and was very helpful. And then later in my life, there was Ate Mitzi, a corporate, I wouldn't say corporate, well, maybe. Actually, no, she's a nonprofit badass. She was my entry to the nonprofit world. I've always admired how intelligent she is and how her work is single-handedly helping people in her own way. I'd intern for her if there's a project, and she became part mentor, part sister, part shield. She protected me from my first husband's family and taught me by example that strength in action, what strength in action look like. She also was the main reason why I was able to fulfill a childhood dream of mine of becoming a delegate in the United Nations. Quiet mentors. They were branches that stretched me further than I thought I could reach. And I would never forget every single one of them. But not all branches hold. Some break. My first husband, for example, I thought we were building a dream together, building a family of our own. After all, we ended up having 2 children. But his loyalty always tilted towards his family and not the one that we were creating. He never respected me the way that I needed or deserved. And he had no interest in growing like we were originally planning. Obviously, that branch broke. If you were with me, the only thing we do is change. That's the only constant thing in my world and in this world. And then my second husband, another broken branch. Too damaged to love, too mistrustful to build. He never trusted himself, so how can he trust others? He always questioned everyone's intention towards him. He never felt like he is deserving of love, and that's on trauma. And I have that too, so I totally understand. But that resulted in his intuition to be so off. He always leaned into others' whispers rather than listening to his own. And even friendships can splinter. One of the first friends that I've met was right after becoming homeless. It started out so good. We had so many things in common, and I really thought we were building a healed life together. But eventually, the situation turned into codependency and plenty of scarcity involved. I'd get ambushed when it comes to finances, and their life being in lack. Not that I'd have plenty, but I do not have a lack mindset, and I just cannot be around that kind of people. It drains you. And when I basically told my truth, I was they moved away from me. They separated themselves, and I mean, I was hurt, but at the same time I understood, and that was the universe's mercy. I didn't even have to do anything about it. Sometimes the branches that break aren't just people, but places, like where I am now. When I started this journey of mine when it comes to TEDx, I was so excited. It's everything for me. And instead of support, I felt distance, as if my TEDx isn't a big deal. And maybe because it's the lack of understanding of it. But at the same time, if you really think that we are a family like you're trying to push, doesn't family care for each other? And doesn't family really care for what others care about? The support that I needed wasn't there. And it felt like personal growth only mattered if it benefited them. And that realization told me something that I already knew. That branch is cracking. And that's okay. That's totally okay. The branches that break remind us what we cannot lean on and why we must keep reaching. The biggest shift came when I realized that I don't just have to wait for branches, I can seek them. I seek coaches now for my body, for my discipline. No one ever taught me how to take care of myself. Every single person in my family, every single person who had been my caretaker, was always in survival mode. So, self care is not really a thing that they were pursuing. They were pursuing survival because that's what's pressing. And starting at my age, it's not easy because all I knew was survivor as well. So I have to be very, very honest on my capacity to do things like this. But at the same time, I have to be very honest to myself that I need help. That I need somebody to hold my hand while I try to develop myself into something that I'd like to become. I seek therapy now, which is a huge taboo in Asian families. The culture teaches you that trauma should not be faced, but rather be pushed down, shoved down to the deepest, darkest corners of your being. But I believe that if you do not face your demons, they will raise your children. And for a time, mine did. I wasn't the mother that my kids deserved. I was an angry one. And this separation from my kids not only is helping me as a person, but it's shaping me to become a better mother for them whenever they're ready for me. It is shaping me to become a mother that they deserve. I also now seek community online, in networking spaces, with people who understand growth, with people who shares the same value with me. Because staying in the same environment isn't just a danger to me. It's a danger to the person who I am becoming. I seek mentorship. My TEDx journey happened because I sought people who knew more than I did. I do not have any experience when it comes to public speaking other than yapping on the internet. But I bet on myself, and they help me make it real. Most people are so afraid to jump without someone else to catch them. But maybe that's the real point. Maybe the point is not to be caught, not to be in a cushion. Maybe the point is to fly. Branches don't look all the same. Some held me in my childhood, some stretched me as I grew, and some broke under weight. And now I consciously reach for some of them. Every branch, even the broken ones, they shaped how I grew. So think about your branches. Who fed you when you were hungry? who saw your light? Which branches are broken? And which ones are you seeking? Because resilience isn't built alone. We all grow together. And that's it for today. If it stayed with you, sit with it. If it helped, pass it on. And if you've got something of your own, there's a link in my bio. You don't have to fix it. Just name it. And always remember, resilience isn't about pretending you're okay. It's about choosing, again and again, not to be hardened, but to be changed.